everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York calling from the quarantine zone again, and this time we are here with Zeb of Aeon. Thanks so much for being here today. It's great to have you here, man.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's so great to have you here. Thank you for giving us some new Aeon to, wait out these dark times with. We got God Ends Here, which came out October 15th. Being that this was such a long time since the last Aeon album, Aeon's Black, was this just picking up where you left off from 2012? Or was God Ends Here
Yeah.
meant to be like a new beginning for the band?
Well, both. I would say both would be correct because since it's been like 9 years since the last album, we wanted to pick up where we kind of left. So that's why the whole album, like the Nihilist, the opening track, the instrumental track, is a different version of the last song off of Aeon's Black. Like if you go back and listening to it, you can notice that. But it's basically it's arranged a bit differently, but it's the same thing really. And then as soon as the music kicks in, it's kind of like it's a bit different. I'd say like we've had different. I think it has more variation to it.
Yeah. Was there maybe like a preconceived idea going into did you want this type of variation, or did it kind of organically happen this way?
Both. I always want to bring something new to the table. I don't want to get caught in repeating myself. But of course, like I think that I'd say that we pushed it a little bit further this time by like going into other influences like classical music and try to bring that into the metal as well. Like before, we've always had these intros and stuff, which have always been inspired by classical music and film score music. But I'd say this time we wanted to incorporate that into the metal as well, and kind of mix it up.
Yeah.
And I think we did that, so that's a bit different, I'd say.
Yeah, I've noticed with God Ends Here, one of my words that I would describe it is that it's very cinematic in a way, and it does kind of
Yeah,
have that.
yeah, it is.
Do you have any favorite music composers like Hans Zimmer, or do you like Two Steps from Hell, or
Oh
Tom?
yeah,
You're a Two Steps from Hell fan?
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I actually have like a playlist that I usually listen to by them, and yeah, Hans Zimmer is also great, and there's many of them. Also, a lot of classical composers as well.
Yeah.
That's
You have a favorite classical one? I see a little bit of Chopin. I get a similar vibe when I listen to Aeon as I do with Frederick
I
Chopin.
yeah, I'd say what I like to get inspired to like get inspiration from and bring into Aeon, I'd say Karl Orff. Like
Okay.
if you're familiar with Carmina Burana, it's an old classical piece with a lot of choirs. It sounds very like omen, very evil. That's what I like about it.
You should listen to Thomas Bergeson from Two Steps from Hell. His solo work. He's putting out seven. He's putting out a 7 album series right
Oh,
now. So, called Humanity. I recommend you
okay.
check that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was his name? Thomas
Thomas Bergeson.
Bergerson. Okay.
Yeah, Norwegian, I believe. But
Yeah.
yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, kind of going back to like the songwriting process of Aeon, because I think as well, like there are elements that make Bleeding the False or Rise to Dominant or Path of Fire. I think every album kind of has its own sort of standout element behind it. Do you almost look at every album as like
Yeah.
a representation of who you personally are at a specific time?
Um, I I wouldn't say that, but I always want to do something new. And this time, what we did different as well. This time, we kind of before we put the whole thing together with all the songs, we kind of zoomed out and had a how we want to tie this all together. And so we had. I don't think people have noticed that yet. I think people need to give it a little more listen before they notice that. But like, if you listen to the intro for the Queen of Lies, first of all that's an orchestral intro which is based off of Queen of Lies, and also have some of the stuff from God Ends Here, that track as well. Like the bass line in the beginning of God Ends Here is the same, kind of the same melody that the choirs are singing in the intro for Queen of Lies. And the way we end the first track, Liar's Den, is a metal version of the intro for Queen of Lies. So there are some stuff that, like, we wanted to zoom out and have a little better overview how we want to tie it together, because we wanted to, like, we got inspiration from classical pieces as well over there. And like, if you're watching a movie, and there's always different themes that comes and go from time to time.
Yeah.
Sometimes they could be in a minor key or a major key to better fit whatever is going on in the movie. But so that we wanted to do something like that, because I don't know if that has been done before in death metal, but I'm not sure. But we wanted to do it, so we did.
Well, like, do you almost think by having this sort of cinematic quality that like that these albums are very conceptually driven? Like, for instance, if somebody's just discovering off of God Ends Here, they need to start off with the Nihilist and then end with Queen of Lies in order to get the full context of the album, or can a listener maybe approach this from any different angle, or is the album meant to be linear and digested the same way as a movie would be?
Well, I'd say, of course, me myself, I like to think of it that way, that it's the ultimate experience would be to listen to the whole album from the beginning to the end. But of course, once you've done that, you are gonna want to listen to, like, your favorites. Of course, you could do that as well. But I like to make it a little more deeper by kind of doing these things.
Yeah. Do you consider like your music to be conceptually driven? Like, do you think of a concept that could influence the sound of the
Oh,
music?
yeah. Like, we've always, already back from Bleeding the Falls, we kind of, we wanted to have the feeling of a concept. Like, we are all great fans of King Diamond. He always had the best concept albums, right? That's both musical and lyrical concept albums. And we don't necessarily have a lyrical concept for the albums, but we want to give the feeling of it being there by adding different intros, and you know doing small stuff like that. Because, and not everyone may think that it sounds like it, but that's we've always been driven to kind of do that, like you say.
Yeah, I've noticed that people always assume that the more experimental a band sounds, they think it's for so. I don't know why they always put experimentation and concept albums always together. I think maybe Mastodon kind of led us to that label in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And kind of going into that, because I do consider Aeon, like, I don't consider Aeon to just be straight death metal. Like, I think that there's a lot of different elements that make Aeon Aeon. Do you find that maybe trying new things and experimenting with your style is just as much part of the songwriting process as the song itself?
Yeah, like, when already back when we started, like, my whole idea for this band was to have probably like 80% old school death metal American style, and then put some new stuff, like add something new to it. Like, that should be like 20%, like icing on a cake or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But Yeah, so we don't consider ourselves being pure old school death metal, but we're definitely, that's our roots. That's the meat and potato of the band. But we try to, at least try to put something new there as well.
Hmm. Now, there's a lot in the Aeon camp to celebrate this year because this year is the 20-year anniversary since the world first heard of Aeon with the Dark Order EP that came out. 20 years.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep. So, if you don't mind me
Okay.
asking, as just like a fan, like what was the thought process back in 2001 and even earlier when you were making that EP,
Yeah.
the debut of Aeon? What did you how did you sort of want
Yeah.
to enter this world?
Yeah, like I wanted to kind of I just want, like I said, I wanted to create old school death metal with something new, some different elements to it. And Yeah, what else? Like I remember being really hungry to play and go, touring and everything, and I wanted to like burst out of nowhere and take the world by surprise. And I don't know, like when we recorded the EP back in 2001, funny thing is that that was a demo that we did, and we like sent it to different record labels, and Necropolis Records, they got back to us that, and they were like, we want to record this we want to release this recording itself, like an EP. And we were kind of young and hungry, so we felt like, okay, why not? So that's what we did, put it up like an EP.
Yeah. And I think it started off
I
on
don't
a
know if that.
Oh, no, it answered the question perfectly because like it represented the thought
Okay,
process
okay.
going into the world. But there's also more to
Yeah.
celebrate because next year is the 10-year anniversary of Aeon's Black, which was the last album before God
Oh,
Ends
yeah.
Here. So I
Yeah.
I just need to know, like, with all these different anniversaries coming up, and I always find patterns in this, so it could just be me
Yeah.
overthinking. But like, can we maybe get some like
Yeah.
on a
You
future
know what
tour?
else? You know what else is worth celebrating next year?
What?
Me and Tommy has been playing together for 30 years now with different bands.
Wow,
So,
that's
yeah, that's insane.
That's so there's a lot to celebrate on this tour. We got to get like a headline
Oh, yeah.
tour. Do you think you could maybe bring some deep cuts off of Aeon's Black or Dark Order, or maybe even play some tracks that you played in your previous bands?
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. And you definitely have toured with like a variety of different bands as well, like touring with like
Yeah.
Cannibal Corpse, but you've also toured with Dillinger Escape
Yeah.
Plan, and you've toured with a band like Origin,
Yeah.
for example. Have you noticed maybe different
Yeah.
reactions depending on the tours you've been on, or maybe like adjust your set list depending on the tours you've been on?
Yeah. You mean like from the audience?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, probably. Like the only tour that really stood out, the reactions was when we toured with Mayhem here in Sweden. And the black metal fans, they were like, we don't even know what these guys are doing here. Like, so that's, but usually every other tours that we have done has been like much better reactions, really. I'd say maybe the one that you mentioned with Dillinger Escape Plan was a bit different because I think on that tour it was basically us, uh, cattle decapitation, revocation, that were kind of more death thrash metal, I guess. And like when people go to see Animals as Leaders and Periphery, uh, I'm not sure they are gonna like what we bring.
You'd be
I
amazed.
don't know.
You'd be amazed. I know a lot of prog nerds who are now
Yeah.
death metal fans because of that one tour on
Yeah.
Summer Slaughter that you were on.
Oh,
So,
really?
yeah.
Oh, then. Yeah, it was a good tour though.
Yep.
I really liked that
I
one.
know. I'm still very angry that I was in Germany when that came to New York City. PlayStation
Oh,
Theater.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. That was a great venue. I remember that one really well.
Yep, it's a new
Very
venue now.
soundproof and stuff like that.
Yep, it's a new venue now. It's called something else. I forgot what it is, but it's back, so that's what matters.
Okay.
Yep. Do,
Yeah.
do you put like a similar energy into your live presence as you do when you are songwriting, or do you consider songwriting and playing live two completely separate arts?
Okay. I'm not sure how you mean now.
No, like is there any similarity between songwriting and playing live?
Oh, I haven't really thought of that. Like, I love doing both. I really do. But there's different when you. It's more like when you're writing songs and recording. That's when you plant the seeds, right? And when you play live, you harvest. So playing live is the ultimate goal to me. But I do love making music and recording it as well.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
I haven't really thought of it.
Yeah. Do you think that like when you're playing live and you're bringing albums from or bringing songs from different albums and making a set list, we kind of talked about like the
Yeah,
context of the record. Do you feel that maybe like when you put these
yeah,
songs together in a different set list that like maybe the meaning is
yeah,
changed in a way or that adds a different type of flair to
yeah.
the album?
Usually, what we do when we put together a live set is that we try to we listen a lot to what the drummer says because not only because he's going to be able to play the whole gig, but also because they usually um, they notice a lot of different things like the different tempos and different structures that we don't really think of. Like I would say, like you want to maybe if you open with a fast one, you might want to go into a heavier one song after that, and kind of. And I think drummers are really good at playing that for some reason. That we've always listened to Nils, who just used to play with us, and Emil, who used to play with us.
Hmm. Yeah. And the final question I wanted to ask you is kind of what you said, mentioning different bands, because between your time with Deface Creation and Unorthodox and so many other bands, I mean, has the mind frame or the
Yep.
creative process been different in those bands as opposed to Aeon, or is there a usual method behind the madness that applies to everything?
No, it's like technology really has changed a lot. Like be like mm, going back all the way to those bands and the beginning of Aeon, I would sit at home just playing riffs and then kind of writing down on a paper in what order I would like to have stuff coming and, kind of, you know, imagine in my head what the drums would go like. And then we would go to the rehearsal space and I would tell the drummer what was my idea for him to do and we would put it together and usually we would record it to a cassette and listen to it and then make changes in the songs after that and see whatever suits best and we did that all the way actually as late as Bleeding the Falls we kind of made that way but after that when we started working on Rise to Dominate we did everything pretty much on our home computers, like demoing all the songs with programmed drums and guitar software.
Hmm.
So it's so much easier now to create,
Yeah,
really.
there's like a lot of artists like to criticize modern technology and saying, "Oh, it takes away from the flair." But think about how many great new
Yeah,
ideas came thanks to modern technology. I think technology should be embraced more than it should be feared.
yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. I agree with that.
yeah. And if we learned anything from Fear Factory, that's just inevitable that it was going to happen anyway. Yeah.
Yeah,
So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time today. Thanks so much for
sure.
doing this. Is there just anything else with Aeon that you would like to promote with the release of God Ends Here? Like, can we be expecting another U.S. tour when this fucking virus that shall not be named is behind us?
Yeah, hopefully. We don't have anything as for now, touring wise, but we do get some offers, and we'll look into them, but nothing I can say about right now. But you know, keep your eyes open.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everybody. We are here with Aeon. Be sure to check out their brand new album, God Ends Here. This is Alex from Heavy New York, and we will see you next time.
Yeah.